Okay, comparative politics, welcome back. We got a few more snippets on democracy, which coincides with chapters 5 through 8 in your textbook. This particular snippet is just going to be about postmodernism. It's in these chapters, it's in chapter 8 specifically, advanced democracies, because a lot of advanced democracies have gone through or are experiencing postmodernism, or they have become postmodern, perhaps. Some countries are on their way to becoming postmodern, in theory, some people argue. I would say, and I think the book agrees, that the United States is not there yet. The United States has elements of postmodernism, but if you really want to see postmodernism and how it affects a country's politics and economics, then we can look in particular to kind of Western European countries. All right, so what is it? I think most people have heard the term, of course. Some people kind of know what it is. Once again, here we go with this. We kind of know it. We sort of know what it is, but then again, do we really? That might be especially true of postmodernism. I think maybe there's a higher percentage of people who maybe just flat out don't know what it is, because it's kind of a weird term. It can be very vague. Let me give you a little bit anecdote from my background. When I was first in graduate school, way back when at Virginia Tech in the late 1980s, postmodernism was just becoming a big thing in academia at the time, and so it was a big buzzword. There were a lot of lectures on campus about postmodernism. You heard about it in class, but nobody really knew what it was. I remember going to one of these lectures. It's really big in English departments. It was by an English professor about postmodernism, and I asked the question, what is it? And I got what was to me at the time a really unsatisfactory answer. Like, I really got the feeling that I left with the feeling that faculty member didn't necessarily really understand what it was either. That was probably my ignorance. But it's a little odd. I'm going to give you one version of it, kind of a slimmed down version of postmodernism. Let's think of it as anti-modernism. And we've kind of seen anti-modernism before, but it's a reaction against modernism, or it's a belief that we've moved past modernism to something else, something new. What is that? Well, it's rejection of modern values and beliefs. It's a rejection of the notion that there is a capital T truth, that there's any kind of real universal truth. The strongest, most hardcore versions of postmodernism say there is no truth. There can't be any truth, because everything is filtered through our cultures, and especially our languages. And this is why maybe it starts in English departments in the United States, but it's sort of at its core a linguistic theory. And that is that human beings are fundamentally separated by our separate languages, that those languages are traps that keep us in kind of, almost a infinite number of different realities, because our certain languages can express certain things better than other languages. Certain languages don't have terms for concepts that exist in other languages. So if you don't have a word for something in your language, then it's not going to be part of your reality. That's sort of the hardcore version of it. But it kind of bleeds out into other things. There's extreme skepticism of science, of truth, of experts and expertise. There's skepticism of traditional values and beliefs, certainly religion, but other values and beliefs as well. There's skepticism of sort of materialism, the idea that we should all get jobs and work our way up the ladder with promotions, and instead we should, enjoy our lives. That idea that work isn't everything and we should enjoy our lives is common sense for a lot of people. But it's a bit of a change historically. So it's sort of the essence of postmodernism, and we can see it in our culture. So let's spend a couple minutes talking about that. Postmodernism is quite common in our culture. Movies and TV shows and things like that are where you can see postmodernism. Skepticism of science. Ooh, that's everywhere. That's been around for a long time. Postmodernism didn't invent skepticism of science, but it's a core element. So any kind of movie or TV show or book or what have you that's skeptical of the scientific method or scientists, something that portrays the mad scientist, for example, and together with the idea that there's not necessarily a real truth. What are good examples of these? The X-Files. It's a really good example of this. You can't trust authorities. You can't trust experts. You can't trust that there's a truth that's known. The authorities and the experts are often hiding things from you. So X-Files is definitely postmodern. The Matrix, red pill, blue pill stuff, before that got kind of hijacked by alt-right and white nationalists and the like. This red pill, blue pill concept comes from the Matrix, right? It can be applied to other things. It's very, extremely postmodern. We are convinced that there's a universal truth and there's certain things about the world that we can understand, but you're really inside of the Matrix, and you got to take the right pill to be able to get out of it, right? That's extremely postmodern. Diversity is another aspect of postmodernism that has become more and more common in the United States. It's a core value throughout universities. ODU is especially good at making diversity a core value and putting it in practice. I would argue ODU is actually quite good at that. But that's a part of postmodernism too, encouraging different cultures. There's no superior cultures, there's just different cultures, and viewing yourself as better, one culture being better than another culture, is just a function of the culture that you and the truth of the culture that you live in. And the real truth is that they're all just separate. We're all inherently separated by, among other things, our language. Not just language though, just general culture. All right, so the Matrix, diversity, skeptical of science, skeptical of truth, skeptical of authorities. The Matrix has all of those. It's probably no coincidence that the Matrix movies were written by the Wachowski brothers, who are now the Wachowski sisters, right? This element of diversity being a key core component of that, right? So that's a big part of postmodernism, and we can sort of see that everywhere. So it doesn't. One thing postmodernism isn't. It's not like sci-fi, all about the future, that kind of thing. It's not futurism. It's this idea that modernism was wrong. So that's a key difference. That reality is different than we really believe, and we should be skeptical of authority, science. Oh, not just science. Better mention this, technology. So the Terminator really began it in the modern age. The Terminator is a postmodern movie, and that is extremely skeptical of technology. Obviously, machines take over. This whole concept of the singularity, the moment when machines start thinking for themselves, is common throughout sci-fi. It's been there for a while, but you could also say that that's postmodern. Why does this matter in comparative politics? Because we can see it seep into the policy of states. The more postmodern you are, the more you're going to promote diversity. The more you're going to likely promote immigration, very closely connected to diversity. The more you're going to promote lifestyles that are not traditional. The more you're going to promote vacation time. So we normally think of that just in economic terms, labor versus capitalist from a postmodern perspective, it's an easy call. We should have more vacation time. We should live our lives doing whatever we want to do. We should fulfill our dreams. Another sort of cultural aspect of this are the many, many TV shows and movies over the last 30 or 40 years. This is one thing I love to talk about. These are all good TV shows and movies. It's a very good message, okay? I'm not dissing entirely the message. But the message is always, in the beginning of the show or the movie or the series or whatever, you see a father with children, and that father never spends time with the kids because he's always at work. And by the end of the show, series, or movie, the father has learned the valuable lesson that he needs to spend more time with his children. Good. I like it. Once again, I look at these tiny little Trump thumbs. But you never see the reverse. You never see, and I would pay big money I would stand in line to go see this. At the beginning of the movie, series, or TV show, the father is spending a lot of time with his kids and isn't paying too much because he understands the value of spending time with his children. He doesn't pay too much attention to his job. He doesn't really even have one. And then by the end of the show, series, movie, he's learned the valuable lesson that you need to get a damn job. I would definitely like to see that. That would be very non-postmodern and be against the trend. So I'll be mentioning this in the discussion threads, which I haven't yet put up. I will be putting up discussion threads after the final couple of videos, snippets for these two chapters. We're going to come back with one snippet, the basic differences between advanced democracies and non-democracies. And then we're going to do the final one, which is the really juicy one. And that is the one, whether democracy, is democracy going away? Is it being replaced by authoritarianism? Is what's happening in the United States? Are we in danger of moving from an advanced democracy towards an illiberal democracy? We'll be looking at that very specific question. And the general rise over the last 20 years throughout the world in what we call illiberal democracies. But first, I think we have two guests who want to pop over here and just say hi. I'm trying to get one of my two favorite stepdaughters is in the room, and one of my two favorite dogs. Is the dog in the room? Okay. And then I'll let you go. Well, yeah. Bring me the dog. Okay. All right, there's a doggy. You saw the arms. You're allowed to see the hands and the arms of one of the two stepdaughters. But here's the entire woofa. This is Ollie, and he is, Muhammad Ali used to say of his opponents, you're not as dumb as you look. Ollie is not as dumb as he looks. He's actually a pretty smart woofus. All right, so that's it for not for today, for this snippet. See you for the next one. Bye.